Lord Dashman.
Thank you, and I declare attention as Foreign Minister of State during the time of the integrated review in 21 and in 2023 with the refresh, and perhaps there's something in that, bearing in mind your earlier comments. But just taking you specifically and following on from Baroness Crawley and indeed what Lord Chairman has said as well, this whole issue of monitoring and evidence-based, I'm conscious of the fact the Public Accounts Committee, the Defence Committee and the other place in the House of Commons have asked for this kind of evidence-based audit on delivery. I've already listened very carefully, and it's heartening to hear that you have specific structures set up on monitoring. But the issue of KPIs, the key performance indicators, is key. We'd certainly welcome when that audit report is produced, the evidence-based audit report, to be party to that. I understand it's due at the end of June, so I'd welcome an update on that. But specifically with the legacy projects that were, and this new framing under your leadership, how are you getting on beyond the legacy to ensure that that framing of these new initiatives, the innovation, the programs, it's also positive to hear that the work continues notwithstanding the delay in the dip, that where exactly are we, and are you confident that the indicators will be met? Thank you.
Again, thank you for your question, Lord Admin. Look, I'm old-fashioned in this respect. I don't believe you can manage what you can't measure. So we're going to get after this properly. I need, as essentially CEO of the NAD Group, I need to be able to measure, and then I can start to manage performance. So do we have those measurements in place to my satisfaction? Not yet. But we're working on it, and we should be willing and obviously to share those measurements with you. They need to be objective, they need to be solid, they need to be relevant. We need smart metrics to be able to say, are we succeeding or are we not? And then I'm very happy to share those with you and all other stakeholders in this job of change and delivery. We're not there yet. We are moving the NAD Group to an OKR performance approach. So instead of managing inputs into things, we're starting to manage success by reference to outputs. That's much more important to me. This is a delivery capability. We need to be judged by whether we delivered or not how hard we worked or what happened to divert us. Doesn't matter. We have to deliver. So looking at KPIs through that lens, I hope will play a part, some part in changing culture and driving more accountability through my organisation as well. That process has been set up. I've used it many times in the past for high growth companies and even very large and complicated companies. It works, but it usually takes a year or more to bed in before people realise that OKRs drive the right kind of conversations about, for this to be true, for this outcome to be true, what has to happen? And then track back, and then you discover the flaw, and then you fix it. So there's work to be done there. I do want a lot more rigor around how we benchmark the performance in our programs. That's not straightforward, but it's a job of work that's ongoing. The early signs I've seen, I mean, the word on the street is we're profligate with our money, we waste a lot of money, we're inefficient and we're ineffective. And I think you can get to that quickly when you look at how many of our large programs are troubled. But these are incredibly large, very complex, multi-year programs that can run for up to 20 years. You look at a Type 26 program, for example. You know, these look like HS2 type events. They are supremely hard to manage through. We've got 2,500 programs in flight right now. You can't judge all of those programs through the lens of just our small number of very large programs. What I was very interested in doing is I went to the benchmark for mega projects, which is the Flyberg data set. And interestingly, against a benchmark of, when I looked at our top 60 major projects, so just the major projects, which is the hardest ones, the Flyberg benchmark data set for delivery on budget was under 50% for the industry, for industry-wide. We are at 68%. If you add budget on time, believe it or not, the industry is at 8.5%. Oof. We're at 45%. And if you go time, budget, and delivering the benefits, in other words, all the three major things, time, price and requirements, industry is at 0.5% for mega projects. We're at 43%. This is not a failing procurement organisation. Can we do more? Yes. Am I happy with where we are? No. We're going to get better. We're going to move faster. We're going to be more agile. We're going to go shopping a lot more. Not developing. We're going to buy good enough because we have to move at pace. The whole philosophy, the architecture of procurement, it's all changing. We are going to be a more impactful procurement agency, but we're not really bad at what we do today. We have tremendous people working extremely hard, often in cases when they're under-resourced against the level of ambition because of the RDL-CDL mismatch mix. But so the foundations are there for us to get a lot better. So I'm actually very proud of the organisation that I serve, and I feel we've got some really good people whose potential can be liberated.
And you can apply this to your legacy projects as well, some of the ones which...
Absolutely. Oh, no, we're not... no, absolutely. Now, the DIP does come along to help us reset those projects and fix some of the things that we have, my inheritance, if you like, but we're not just going to rebase everything and forget the past and look forward only. You will get a complete data set.
Thank you.
Lord Alderdice, I think you're next.
Thank you, Lord Chairman. I'd like to pick up on the centralisation of responsibility for defence exports within your office. And should I say that I'm the UK's trade envoy for Azerbaijan and Central Asia. These, of course, are countries that were former Soviet bloc countries. And so when I was appointed in January of last year, it was flagged up to me that I should stay away from the question of defence exports. As the year continued on, the message that started coming through was a little bit different. No, actually, if there's any chance of doing something on the export side, that will be really helpful. But interestingly, when I went to Azerbaijan in the later part of last year, the previous week, my colleague, Lord Coker, had been there the week before.
Yeah.
But there was no collaboration, no briefing the two directions. DBT to Ministry of Defence, Ministry of Defence to DBT. And so what I'm wanting to clarify is whether there is, because it hasn't been mentioned at all, whether there is on the export front any kind of collaboration with DBT. And it's a two-way issue, because you mentioned the question of critical minerals. That region is one of the key regions in the world for critical minerals. The Chinese are gobbling them up. The Russians already had a hold of them. Most of the other European nations and the Americans are already in there. So collaboration with DBT and, of course, our embassies would be really important. But I'm not hearing very much about that, either in terms of us selling our exports or in terms of some of the input that we need for some of the things you want.
Thank you for your question. And I will hand off to Avril after setting the scene a little bit. But you're absolutely right. And in terms of my experience over the last 9 months in post, I've seen the absolute imperative for us to, if we're going to succeed in our exports and our international alliances, we have to unite the diplomacy, the military side and the commercial side. And often they are interacting with each other in real time. I very much saw that in terms of Task Force Sabre, which was the NADGROUP's and the MOD's response to the Middle East crisis in terms of how you create the right climate with our precious allies in the Middle East to support them. You have a diplomatic initiative, then you have a military initiative, then you bring the commercial alongside, but then you have to bring the diplomats back and so on. So we have to work together, and we have to create these tiger teams that are sharing information and are coordinated. In the Middle East, we did that. We reached across government to cohere this interaction that's vital. And if we do that, we play at a different level. Interestingly, the role of the NAD group then becomes one of orchestrating all of that, and we're becoming more muscular in doing that, particularly with industry, so we don't just fling industry willy-nilly at an opportunity. We orchestrate that, and sometimes we stand in front of them and we work in a government-to-government relationship to broker our industrial capabilities into the country in a trusted way. We're getting a lot better at these things quickly, and that's showing up in our win ratios are going up, but it's a journey, but it's a journey that does need to bring in all of government.